You know we be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Meant something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go start season to go and you know those crystal trips. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal trips. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know. Start season to go and you know those crystal trips. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal trips. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we on the mission. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the roads. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
The journey to healing starts with a single step. Are you ready to embrace your true self? Join us on April 27th at the Tranquility Salt Cave in Columbus, Ohio for the New Moon Inner Child Healing Sanctuary, led by Christolight from Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. This transformative event guides you through inner child wounding education, sacred journaling, and a powerful guided meditation for just $55 from 4 to 6 p.m. EST. As a bonus, immerse yourself in the tranquil environment of the Salt Cave with a 50% discount on a 1-hour halotherapy session, available for just $20 more from 6 to 7 p.m. EST. Spaces are limited, so don't miss this unique opportunity to reconnect with your authentic self and release emotional baggage. Book your spot now by scanning the QR code or visiting tranquilitysaltcave.com/events. If you have any questions, DM Christolight or call Tranquility at 614-859-3419. Your journey to healing starts here. Embrace the new you under the new moon.
A New Moon Inner Child Healing Sanctuary, taking place for the first time ever at Tranquility Salt Cave in Columbus, Ohio. Get your ticket today, as spaces are limited. Any questions, just reach out to myself, Christolight, and I will gladly guide you along the way.
Welcome. Welcome to Ascending Beyond Limitations. I know that some of you coming in might think that you are only body and only mind. And some things are only just physical and only thought. One day, just one day, you have this glorious recalling of who you really are. There's a moment, something happens, something activates you. You can call it an awakening, or you can call it a reintegration with the matrix or the illusion. See, the divine of the creation that is and is not doesn't care what we call it. It's recalling. Your higher being slowly comes out of its dormant state. And it says, I'm here. But in the body and the mind status, what we might call duality, we have the right, the free will right to listen or not. And a lot of people say, I believe it if I see it. And your divineness says, see it before you believe it. Intuitively, see it and know it. Know that you know. How do you know that you know? Well, it already came with you when you were born. The divine made sure that everything was given to you before you started on this journey. The divine, the Mother, Father, God, packed your backpack with everything that you would need, every infinite possibility, so that you could find out that you are not limited. Welcome to ascending beyond limitations, going deep into the unknown of you. It's not the unknown of the stars. It's not the unknown of the vast universe and all the galaxies that are sitting out there. It's the unknown of you. That's the scariest part of this duality, is the unknown of you. So before we get going, Ra has been talking about your energy, not your, but our energy centers in this book 3. In the divine design, Lori Ladd was channeled to about the energy centers 1 through 7. Here's the first paragraph of that. All right. The 7 energy centers within the form are designed to allow the higher consciousness incarnating into form to navigate and filter through 5D field. Now, it is believed and was channeled that this whole creation process started at 5D. 5D was the lowest dimensional form that the divine could go to access and know itself without having a polarity impact. 5D. It was the lowest it could go so that it could shift in form and formless, and then evolve to the next level, to the 6th level, to the 7th level. It says the centers move up the channels in numerical order, beginning with the first center at the base of the channel and arriving at the 7th center at the top of the channel in form. Our chakras do the same thing that Ra talks about in the polarity, moving up the polarities that our souls or our higher beings get to do. That eventually at the 7th center, we merge back with the divine. And within these centers, we have free will choice. Not only, it blew me away, not only do we have the centers in us, our higher beings are moving up those centers with free will choice to choose. To choose, Ra said, to choose between the negative polarity or the positive polarity. Positive polarity being service to others, knowing that everything within us is taken care of. So no matter how much we serve others, even through their negative polarity, we are always taken care of, and we are always wholeness. The negative polarity is service to self only at the cost of anybody else. We get to make that choice. And not only do we, body and mind, get to make that choice, our higher being got to make that choice. Our higher being got to make a free will choice to either be or explore the negative polarity or the higher polarity. So when you look at your other self expressing, I'll give you the example. I'm not going to use his name, but I'm going to say Orange Oompa Loompa. He gets to have a choice of service to self at the cost of everyone else. He's going to make his choices based on himself and what he needs and what his conscious group needs. It's not you have a feeling that you don't like it, you get to move away from his playground area and go and find something that you do like. And the moment that you take that negative polarity, his negative polarity, and separate yourself from it, separate that energy, cleanse the energy, and move to another part of the playground, you get to have a service to others in the positive polarity. What's that going to be? You get to decide that. And I believe the reason why the divine wants me to express this is there was a person that I spoke to yesterday who was very distraught and didn't know what she was going to do if everything was taken away from her. Everything cannot be taken away from you. All your needs through your first center, your first chakra center says all your needs have already been met. You didn't come in with nothing. You came in with everything. And no one can take it from you. Only you can give it to them. We're here to explore whether we're limited or whether we're going to move in limitation or move in unlimited vibration. It's our choice, our free will choice. That is the key that turns everything on and the key that turns everything off, and you have it. It is your key. No one can take it from you. You can give it up, but no one can take it from you. In every book so far that I've ever read, it's about our energy and our will to either survive or thrive. I finally understand the difference. Surviving is what somebody tells you that you are doing now, and you can go no further than your limitation takes you. Thriving is going beyond that limitation. Over to you, Marcus.
Good Lord. Wow. Oh, man. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a opening to a space right there. Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that wonderful opening. Bringing that passion, bringing that fire. And I was called to kind of kick off a little bit with a card from the Beyond Lemuria deck. And I really love the chakra conversation, as always, if you guys know me as well. And they do have chakra cards in here, so I wonder if a chakra card will come through. And for everybody that's tuned in, I want to invite you to get yourself comfortable. Grab a snack or some tea, some coffee, water, whatever it is that you like, and just allow yourself to get cozy and just enjoy as we explore these esoterics and channeled messages of Ra and tie them together into other conscious everyday ways of life. And the card we have is Endless Opportunities. Oh boy. Endless opportunities. Let me get that on the big screen for you guys. Endless opportunities. So what I'm getting from this card, endless opportunities, is, well, number one, it's time to ascend beyond your limitations. And when I say ascend beyond your limitations, this doesn't mean like take your physical body and jump through a portal and pop up in the middle of Egypt. What I'm really saying is mentally, in your mind, your mental universe, your mentalism. Bring your mind of the limitations that you may have either placed upon yourself, you may have been conditioned to by others or programming, but dissolving those limitations and ultimately restoring the balance of your third eye or your brain, your hemispheres. And through the balancing of your masculine and feminine principles, you're then able to be more in that wholeness state where you're able to be more abundant, magnetic, activated, therefore giving you a more clear access to that endless opportunities, that eternal energy that's flowing through you. So it's not really that you have to seek, achieve, become different to access your endless opportunities. It's really more so of remembering that you already are the catalyst or the vehicle of endless opportunities. And through that, shifting your mindset to that understanding of who you are, you then start to prioritize your life around that. And through that, you start prioritizing clearing your emotions, balancing your mind, having a clear and healthy body. And with that, knowing that is your access to your endless opportunities. The more clear you are, and this also ties into your chakras, your energy centers, just like Ra is talking about throughout these texts, those good old wheels of light that you see right over here in the middle of us. Those are important, and I'm sure Ra's going to talk a little bit more. The thing is, with the endless opportunities, is just remember that you have unlimited grace. So you're giving the most patient grace that there ever could be, and you have so much grace that this whole entire creation was designed for you to have failures, for you to have lessons, for you to go through challenges, and know that you will always be overcoming and going through more, just as experiences of life, more so than challenges. With that being said, that is from the Beyond Lemuria deck, Endless Opportunities. And before we move into our text for today, I'm going to bring us back to last week so we can get a recap and pick up on where we left off.
We in the building. Star season to go in, you know those crystal children. Back up in the mix.
You'll notice that the tusks are broken, and the broken tusks are also representations of your imperfections. So Ganesh also is representing your ability to have inner strength and resilience and courage to step into your power, to share your gifts, to be creative, despite your scars, despite your flaws, despite the things that you deem as, your negative traits.
I am Ra. This is a large question. You first take the comma. As a mind/body/spirit complex, balance and polarize the self, connecting the inner light with the upper or upward spiraling inpouring of the universal light.
Like don't get too caught up in trying to be like somebody else or be like Jesus or be like Buddha. Like, try to take in what they did in order to get to how they got.
The circular motion shows an unblocked energy center. However, some entities are polarized. That
was our last episode, episode 52 of this wonderful raw material law of one study. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and hand it back over to our wonderful co-host over in California, Sandee Marshall, as we continue book 3 of the raw material.
Ambatoko share na te shusho no tokua. Be share shundo toku ate no. We are ascendants, not descendants, but ascendants of the one true creator that is and is not. We ascend every day. Even those that are not aware, they're conscious of living, but even though they're not aware of their power yet, they're ascendants of the one true creator seeking itself in, through, and as them, in, through, and as us. We are on this playground having fun. We may call it work, but our higher being says, oh, is this what fun is? It looks to us to give it definition. It looks to us to share our feelings and our emotions. Explain what you're feeling. Explain what this emotion is. Explain it to me. I know who and what I am in all of the I am that I am, but I don't know it in this physicality. That's why I chose you, this glorious entity in form. That's why I gave you the eyes that you have. That's why I gave you the ears that you have. Sandee, that's why I gave you the ears and knew when you were 3 years old, you were going to have a physical ailment upon you, because I want to learn something. What does it feel like to only hear from one ear? What does it feel like to only hear words from one side, from your left side, and only hear vibrations and different kind of pitches from the other? I didn't know I had to explain to my higher being this. That's what we're here to do. We're here to give our higher being its lesson. It wasn't meant to work. It was meant to play. We always were meant to come here and play and flow in and through all the polarities, upper polarities and lower polarities. They were meant for us to allow the divine to seek itself in, through, and as us. And to know that the divine is not judging us based on what choices we choose. We just get to feel it and say, "Oh, I felt it. I think that's enough." And that feeling was meant to dissipate. It was meant to go back to the one true creator so it could become another feeling, another situation, another circumstance, another conversation with maybe a different a higher being and its body and its conscious mind. So let's talk about these feelings. These feelings come from these feelings and emotions. They come from our chakras, from our energy portal. The divine says, this is made possible through contact in indigo ray with intelligent energy. That was the last statement that Ra made to the questioner. The questioner says, why are these people able to do this? They seem to have no training. They are just able to do it. Ra says, They remember the discipline necessary for the activity, which is merely useful upon other true color vibratory experimental nexi. The questioner says, then you are saying that this wouldn't be useful in our present density? Will it be useful in fourth density on this planet in the very near future? I am Ra. The end of such energy focusing is to build, not to destroy, and it does not become quite useful as, say, we say, there's a comma there, useful as, comma, shall we say, comma, an alternative to third density building methods. The questioner says, is it also used for healing? I am Ra. No. The questioner says, is there any advantage in attempting to develop these characteristics or in being able to bend metal? That's what they were talking about in last week, in the latter couple of paragraphs and questions. The questioner says, what I am trying to say is, are these characteristics in signposts of a development of an entity, or is it merely something else? For instance, as an entity develops through his indigo, would a signpost of his development be this bending ability? I am Ra. This will be the last full query of this working. Let us specify 3 spirals of energy light, which the pyramid exemplifies. Firstly, the fundamental spiral, which is used for study and for healing. Second, the spiral of the apex, the spiral to the apex, which is used for building. And thirdly, the spiral spreading from the apex, which is used for engineering. Contact with indigo ray need not necessarily show itself in any certain gift or guidepost, as you have said. There are some whose indigo energy is that of pure being and never is manifested, yet all are aware of such an entity's progress. Others may teach or share in many ways contact with intelligent energy. Others continue in unmanifested terms seeking intelligent infinity. Thus, the manifestation is lesser signpost than that which is sensed or intuit about a mind-body-spirit complex. This violet ray beingness is far more indicative of true self. Are there any brief queries or small matters we may clear up, if we can, before we leave this instrument? And the questioner says, I did have a question on what you meant by the third spiral. And if that is too long, I would just ask if there is anything that we can do for the instrument to make her more comfortable and improve contact. Ra says, I am Ra. We may answer briefly. You may query in more detail if you deem it is desirable at another session. If you picture the candle flame, so everybody picture a candle flame. You may see the third spiral. This instrument is well balanced, and accoutrements are well aligned. You are conscious and conscientious about the vessel. I am Ra. I leave you, my friends, in love and in light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one infinite creator, Adonai. Did you picture the flame? Just picture the flame, and you find that third spiral. Back to you, Marcus.
Wow. So I walk in after taking a moment to go give my dad his medicine. I walk in on the center of a flame in a spiral. And instantly, what came to me when you said that is something very interesting that I would like to pull up onto the screen. And this is going to be from our wonderful website that we have out there called Ascension Glossary. And what I want to share to you guys here is something that you guys can always find on your own. And this is on ascensionglossary.com. And this is talking about the threefold founder flame. I'm going to read a little bit of this to you guys so you can get an idea of what the threefold founder flame is exactly. I'll put this on the larger screen. There we go. Okay, so there are three original primal order sound fields that make up the ray aspects of our entire universal creation in a universal time matrix. The solar reishi are the first triad of light manifestations that make the universal trinity, that are projected from the emerald order and blue order, gold order and gold flame, amethyst order and violet flame, from the God source field, the threefold founder flame or cosmic trinity, the first emanation of the primal sound field, which represents the first individual of the God source, is the emerald order. The second emanation of the primal sound field, which represents the second individualism of the God source, is the gold order. The third emanation of the primal sound force, which represents the third individualism of the God source, is the amethyst order. Collectively, these are also referred to as the founders and the threefold flame that make up the triad. The threefold founder flame gestates of sound light universal consciousness and is called the guardian host. Aurora from the seven high heavens and Andromeda answered the guardian host clarion call and have joined them to protect this particular universal time matrix. As a result, we also have omni-universal God sources that are referred to as the Aurora host that are also connected to the primary guardian host. The three founder flames of the Universal Trinity are the Universal Trinity and are comprised of the blue ray, Mother Arc, the violet magenta ray, Father Arc, and the golden ray, Son of Christos. The Universal Trinity of the first flame of the one blue flame in 13D, 13 density, the second light of the one gold flame, 14D, 14 density, and the third flame, or the third light, is the violet flame of 15 density. Together they make the trinity that make up the three-fold flame of our entire universal time matrix. So this also kind of brings me into another aspect of our creation in this universe that we're in, is that it's apparent that throughout many different studies, esoteric, occult, and beyond, that we have 12 dimensions in this universal time matrix that we're in. And you hear about the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, the 12D Christos grid, all these different layouts of 12D blueprints. And then if you see here, the 3 folder flame, they are the 3 dimensions directly after 12D, 13, 14, and 15. So they are outside of our universal time matrix. Therefore, they're kind of, I guess, heaven or godlike compared to these 12-dimensional realms when it comes to the energy vibration. And with that, that also wants to bring me over to something to show you guys as well, real quick, regarding, the flame, the different orders, and this wonderful website that we have here, Ascension Glossary. I want to share this with you guys. So they talk about Ra, and they give you guys a little bit about the consciousness of Ra and where it comes from. Let's see here. There's so much to cover. I'm trying to figure out where I want to cover. It talks about the Lyra connection, the Syrian connection with Ra. It talks about, carrying the law of one. Oh, but here we are. This is where I wanted to share. So this is a little bit about basically the Ra Confederation, or the Ra Confederacy, and the Ra Guardians, which are the beings that we are communicating with through these raw material books. So this is just another perspective of who they are in creation. And it says here that my exposure to the Ra families was being taken through the 14th gold ray and 14th D portal sometime during 2005, and then again 2007 with Akhenaten. I traveled there to the next universe, and we had a gathering where communication was not verbal, but in color waves and code transmission. As many of us can attest, this form of communication is like getting imprinted with a ton of multidimensional language with an incredible amount of information in a few seconds. It is impossible to express that linearly and in words to give a complete meaning. However, that was impressed upon me up there was that there's a problem with the raw extensions in the lower universe. We are in a phantom section of the universe, and that there are trapped levels of raw families that are entwined within the Seraphim and Golden Rays issues with the Earth and other planets. Think of the infiltration problems with the Golden Eagle grid in Iraq and Iran. The Seraphim branches have severe problems with reptoid Vital programs, Melchizedekan, and avian hybrids, and that created problems with them evolving through alien hybridization and stealing genetics. During Egyptian times, a lot of damage was incurred by the lower raw entities who descended further, and some of these extremely negative branches are called Horus Ra entities, and they were working with the control of the sun and solar system. Many of them were abducting humans and exploiting them. They seem to have relationships with the Anunnaki factions in the Middle East. So in my experience, the Ra Confederation is a part of a guardian alliance that exists through the 14th dimension in the higher 7 heavens, and has a major project in hiding all the gold and finding all of the golden ray aspects that got lost down in the phantom dimensions and have reptile hybridization problems. They are linked into the consciousness family of Seraphim, so they have all the genetic damage to deal with in relationship to the Golden Eagle grid and repairing horizontal grids and the respective timelines. And that's where I'll kind of leave off. And to kind of sum that all up, it's basically just sharing how, the Ra Confederation, they are guardians that carry the 14th dimensional golden ray. And right now, they currently exist in, well, I don't know presently in this very year of our Earth moments what dimension they're in, because according to the books, which was written a few years ago now, they could have transcended that dimension, but according to the books, they're in a 6th-dimensional complex. And with that, they carry the 14th dimensional golden ray. And it's basically just giving a little bit of history and backstory of how, some of these raw beings that kind of descended into their own lower nature and lower vibrations and got caught in the phantom of their self. They began to be a part of kind of the resistance, so to say, when it comes to the law of one. So with that, it's also talking about how there's just so much to talk about. Wow. So it's also talking about how they have very similar DNA or very similar traits of service to the seraphim. And the seraphim are basically another term for the angels or the archangels. So these beings of Ra, they have similar traits to archangels, which is why they're able to serve humanity in the way that they do, in the way that they do it so expansively for us and continuously. So I just wanted to share that to give a little bit of insight through the Ascension Glossary and open up our perspectives a little bit. Back to you.
So let's open up our perspectives a little bit, because what was being downloaded to Marcus to read that and share that with you. Ross said to keep going. So in the Divine Design, written by Lori Ladd, she was channeled to write this and record it. They talk about the clearing of the reptilian and the clearing of the 4D races, and the clearing. And when they say 4D races, it's not about color or skin. 4D races were the first creation that the higher beings were allowed to create when they first came to play on Earth consciousness with a free will choice. They were called to come and play. They were part of Earth consciousness and the higher consciousnesses of the divine. They were aspects of the divine that had already been created and already been playing in the universe, and they got the invitation, the birthday invitation from Earth consciousness to come play with me. And they came to play. But while they were playing, they decided, hey, I don't want to take a human form. I want to see if I can make a form of our own. So basically, they wanted to play God. Just like somebody wanted to play, cops and robbers, or cowboys and Indians, or play play housewife and husband. They wanted to play God. And guess what? The 5 laws that were created then in 5th density, and when it moved down into the 3rd density, they got to play at creating and utilizing energy the way they knew how energy was going to maneuver and work for them, and they wanted to create in their own image. They wanted to create a individual, a physical form with a consciousness already. And they were called the 4D beings. And they took names after what we know them to be in our literary sense. Right? But they are not them. They are 4D beings. They are not higher beings. They were creations of higher beings. Right? And then these 4D beings got to play on Earth consciousness, and they started to move out and wanted to create more. Hence, we have the reptilians and whatnot. They are an aspect. Everything is an aspect of the divine. But this is what Ra wanted me to share with you. Ra gave an opening through Marcus, and here's just another opportunity, another infinite possibility for you. That's part of the law of one. Every book that's ever written and channeled by the divine, it's all connected. It's just how you want to connect the pieces. It says, by the 1990s, almost all 4D beings had been pulled off the Earth plane. That was, they pulled them off prior. It was more difficult, however, to remove the reptilian off the Earth. Many had infiltrated and energetically moved into human form. We, the divine beings that were on looking or taking care of Earth consciousness and humanity, had to be careful how we pulled their energy out of the human body. If we extracted the reptilian energy out of the human too quickly, it would pull the energetic life out of the human and end their life. We had to be careful, and thus it took more time. There were 2 steps we had to take to remove the reptilian from the Earth plane. First, we had to identify the human infiltrated by the reptilian energy. Second, we had to pull the reptilian energy slowly out of the human bodies without harming the human. It was a delicate process. Most of the human forms that had been infiltrated by reptilians had around 30 to 40% of the reptilian energy in their body. Although we had to be careful pulling the energy out, we knew we could do it. However, we noticed cases in which the reptilian had taken over much of the human form, because the more they stayed in 3D density, the more greedy they got. They started to get stuck. Instead of the human holding 30% of the reptilian energy, they were holding 70%. This created a larger hazard for us. The human with 70% of their body holding reptilian energy had a higher probability of being harmed. When we pulled the reptilian energy out, all humans infiltrated by the reptilians, only about, and here's where Ra wants you to hear this, only about 10% were holding high percentage of reptilian energy. We chose to leave those humans alone and focus on the humans holding 30 to 40%. This meant the reptilian energy within the human body would remain in the body and on the earth and impacting the human collective. Only 10%. They cleared the rest. And here's why they did that. They said, we knew that the light workers would continue to shift Earth and humanity into higher frequencies. The light quotient on the earth would increase, and the frequency within the human body would increase. As the human form continued to hold higher frequencies, the reptilian energy would not be able to remain within those forms. The high frequency light anchoring into the body would do the work for us. The light would naturally begin to pull and clear the denser reptilian energy out of the human form. We had to allow this process to unravel through the work of light workers. So that's what they also did with the humanoids. So those at that point between 1990 and now, the percentage is very low. And as long as Earth consciousness is shifting, she can never move back down to third density consciousness, because she has shifted and evolved all way past 5D. And the only way that reptilians can come into our lives is if we invite them in our dreams, our daydreams, in that cycle. They are now in outside of Earth consciousness's quantum realm, but they're within 4D and higher of where they came from, where those that created them came from. Which brings us back to what I'm sorry, the divine wanted me to say one more thing. And, oh, here it is. Marcus mentioned, or Ra mentioned through Marcus, the clarion call is the third call of light workers. We are, by all intents and purposes, intended the clarion workers. That's why we're activated. That's why our chakras are being activated. That's why so many of us are having the an awakening. The awakening is only that our higher being is recalling more and more and more of what we came for, what our intent was. Intention plus energy equals, I'm so excited, I'm gonna slow my roll, equals creation, manifestation. Right? So if you're fearing reptilians who might be now, that was when this book was written, that was 10%. And the Earth consciousness has shifted at least more than 4 times. We just only know about 5D, but we'll know soon. Ashe. All right. So let's continue with the next session. It's session 59. I am Ra. I greet you in love and in light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. The questioner says, could you first tell me the instrument's condition and why she feels so tired? This instrument, and I'm reading this now because when you are being channeled or when you are being downloaded, it's all right to speak to the divine and let the divine know how your body is, how it's feeling when you're taking in this information. You get to ask, why do I feel so tired after I have a download? Why do I feel so wiry? Why do I feel so jittery? Why do I feel so like me? The last couple of times, the only word I could say was alone, but I knew I wasn't lonely, right? This instrument's condition is as previously stated. We cannot infringe upon your free will by discussing the latter query. The questioner says, would it be any great protection for the instrument if, and then he says her name, changed his seating position to another side of the bed. And Ra says, I am Ra. No. The questioner says, at the end of the second major cycle, there were a few 100,000 people on Earth. There are over 4 billion people on Earth today. Okay, at that time that this channel was done and this book was written, there was 4 billion people. We're now at well over 8 billion people, well over, almost 9 billion. Okay. People that are incarnate today in the Earth's plane and not incarnate at that time, or did they come in from elsewhere during the last 25,000 years? Ooh, that's a good question. I am wrong. There were 3 basic divisions of origin of these entities. I'm going to read that again. And I'm going to slow my roll. There were 3 basic divisions of origin of these entities. Firstly, number 1, and primarily, all right, those of the planetary sphere you call Maldek. We talked about that in book 1. They again talked about it in book 2. Maldek, having become able to take up third density again, were gradually loosed from their self-imposed limitation of form. Secondly, there were those who, there were those of other third density entrants and neophytes whose vibratorily patterns matched the Terran's experiential nexus. I love how they use words that are English, but they add a little depth to them. And my tongue gets kind of tied with that, right? These then filtered in through incarnative processes. Thirdly, in the past, approximately 200 of your years, you have experience with visiting of wanderers. Wanderers. Ra has said that we move up the densities in consciousness. Sometimes in consciousness within death, and sometimes in consciousness as we expand and grow, and as we shift and evolve, and we move into another consciousness. And as we move up these polarities, we have some entities that get the chance to shift and merge back with the divine at the 7th tier, the crown, at the 7th tier. But sometimes in 6th density, in the 6th tier, these entities say, no, we got to go back. We want to help Earth consciousness. We just know they need us. We want to be of service. They're wanderers. They go back because they go where they're needed. And the wanderers started really coming in around about the late 50s, early 60s, and they started coming in tiers. It may be noted that all possible opportunities for incarnation are being taken at this time due to your harvesting process and the opportunities which this offers. So the questioner says, just to clarify, could you tell me approximately how many mind-body-spirit complexes were transferred to Earth at the beginning of this last 70,000 year period? I am Ra. The transfer, take the comma, which means take the pause, as you call it, has been gradual Over 2 billion souls are those of Maldek, which has successfully made a transition. Approximately 1.9 billion souls have, from many portions of the creation, entered into the experience at various times. The remaining are those who have experienced the first 2 cycles upon the sphere, or who have come in at some point as wanderers. Some wanderers having been in the sphere for many thousands of your years. Others have come far recently. Wow. The questioner says, I'm trying to understand the 3 spirals of light in the pyramid shape. I would like to question on each. The first spiral starts below the Queen's chamber. Here he goes again, right? The first spiral starts below the Queen's chamber and ends in the Queen's chamber. Is that correct? Ra. I'm Ra. That is incorrect. The first notion of upward spiraling light is as that of a scoop of a scoop. The light energy being scooped in through the attraction of the pyramid shape through the bottom or base. Thus, the first configuration is a semi-spiral. So it's spiraling in your root, or your base, your root. The questioner says, would this be similar to the vortex you get when you release water from a bathtub? This is correct, except that in the case of this action, the cause is gravity. Whereas in the case of the pyramid, the vortex is that of an upward spiraling light being attracted by an electromagnetic field generated by the shape of the pyramid. Got you thinking now, right? Not just thinking, but feeling it. Not just thinking and feeling it, but envisioning it. Not just with your physical eyes, but here you're starting to go inward and say, ooh, I want to see that a little bit more. The questioner says, then the first spiral after this semi-spiral is the spiral used for study and healing relative to the Queen's chamber position. Where does this first spiral begin and end? I am Ra. The spiral which is used for study and healing begins at or slightly below the Queen's chamber position, depending on your earth and cosmic rhythms. It moves through the King's chamber position in a sharply delineated format and ends at the point whereby the top approximate third of the pyramid may be seen to be intensifying the energy. Then the questioner says, the first spiral is obviously different somehow from the second and the third spirals, since they have different uses and different properties. The second spiral then starts at the end of the first spiral and goes up to the apex. Is this correct? I am Ra. This is partially correct. The large spiral is drawn into the vortex of the apex of the pyramid. However, some light energy, which is of the more intense nature of the red, shall we say, end of the spectrum is spiraled once again, causing an enormous strengthening and focusing of energy, which is then used for building. The questioner says, and then the third spiral radiates from the top of the pyramid. Is this correct? I am Ra. The third complete spiral does so. This is correct. It is well to reckon with the foundation semi-spiral, which supplies the prana for all that may be affected by the three following upward spirals of light. We're going to get into prana. Back to you, Marcus.
Okay. How do I contain myself? Okay.
You don't contain yourself, you flow.
Wow. This is just like clearly beyond limitations here. I'm gonna pull something up real quick because this will probably be recognizable for many people. You know, Ra is talking about all this stuff regarding spirals underneath the pyramid, things like that. And if I remember correctly, this was just discovered underneath the Great Pyramid. And this was a huge groundbreaking discovery within the last 2 weeks about the history of our planet and these pyramids. So what kind of correspondence is that for us to get this publicly announced? And then here we are today in this reading from a channel from Ra talking about spirals and partial spirals underneath the pyramids building up to create energy and different ways for creating. I mean, wow. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's so beautiful how divinely blessed and guided we are in life to be able to see these kind of synchronicities. I mean, wow, it's very fascinating. So we're literally hearing a little bit of insight into the history of this discovery that just took place on our current planet collective on Earth. Like, wow, we're getting a little bit of a raw inside scoop of what this discovery is and how the technology has been being used with these pyramids. So I also wanted to share this other image with you guys as well. This is just another image that I found, just so you guys get an idea of the energy and the layout. And you guys can find various videos on YouTube and all over to kind of study yourself, kind of tap in and discern, feel what resonates when it comes to this discovery. But they're basically saying it's like energy generators, and they use the spirals and the poles to help create a foundational basis of current and energy from the earth to power the pyramids. And I'm sure there's so much more for us to uncover as time goes on. So yeah, pretty fascinating. I wanted to share that because that is just like mind-blowing that we just now discovered this as a collective on this planet. And then boom, here we are, find this out through Ra. And what was that very last part that you finished off at with this reading?
It says, Ra says, and I'll read the whole thing. The third complete spiral does so. This is correct. It is well to reckon with the foundation semi-spiral, which supplies the prana for all that may be affected by the 3 following upward spirals of life. If I'm not mistaken, prana is life energy. Am I correct?
Yep,
Now,
that is correct.
here's the thing. This questioner is very interested in the pyramids, the energy of the pyramids. He's seeking to understand it. These have always been his questions that he wanted to ask. Even though in the first book, Ra tells him the pyramids are not really needed anymore. You can still use them. If you can get into them, you can access energy if you can get into them, right? But we became our own pyramid. We became our own energy source. As soon as we became aware of our energy and how it works, the more questions we ask about ourselves, the more we become the more we can tap into it. The more we learn how our energy centers, how they turn, how they grow, how they move into the next energy center. We became that. So think of yourself as this pyramid. You're a walking pyramid, right? And you've got some people that tell you, well, if you wear shoes and you walk around the earth, you're blocking your energy. But I know in some areas where I walk, I can't just walk barefoot, because in that area, there are things that will penetrate my skin that will not make me feel good. But I know that I have access to my energy no matter whether I wear shoes or not. And sometimes when you go to the park, you want to walk barefooted, but you might step into some dog poop if you're not really watching. Or you might step on somebody's used needle or whatnot. So you've got to know about your energy and how to utilize your energy through your body. That is not just only about your feet. That's not the only way that you can ground. You can walk over to a tree, take your shoes off, and then ground by hugging the tree or by sitting under the tree, putting your hands on the tree. You're very powerful. That's all Ra wants you to know. And the spin of our chakras is to know that we're taught that everything must go clockwise, that everything is in linear motion. And all Ra is telling you is no, it's not just clockwise. Start feeling how your body turns. Start feeling how your chakras are turning. That's counterclockwise. Start understanding that you weren't meant to be in a box. That there's many other shapes that you can be intuitively encounter that allow your energy to shift and expand and evolve and be open. That's all Ra wants you to know. Don't limit yourself because, I don't live in an area where I can't take off my shoes. I don't, and limit yourself that way. Go figure out how to get close to a tree or get to that part of the sand that doesn't have any glass in it. Then take your shoes off and then ground. I know a gentleman that said that he bought living grass and brought it into his house, and that's how he grounds. He went to the plant store, and bought living grass and living dirt and put it in his patio. And when he needed to go do his grounding, He took off his shoes and he stepped into it, and he gave thanks for that living, for that grass, allowing itself to be cut, being taken, and then allowing itself to be infused with consciousness, and then allowing itself to be part of his experience. Your energy, all your chakras were given to you for just this purpose. So the question now, or the questioner says, now I'm trying to understand what happens in this process. I call this first semi-spiral 0 position, and the other 3 spiral 1, 2, and 3. The first spiral being a study in healing. What change takes place in light from 0 position of the first spiral that that makes that first spiral available for healing? Right? Did I go? Yeah, I did. Ra says, I am Ra. The prana scooped in by the pyramid shape gains coherence of energetic direction. The term upward spiraling light is an indication not of your up and down concept, but an indication of the concept of that which reaches towards the source of love and light. I'm going to say that again. The divine wants you to understand this. The term upward spiraling light is an indicative or an indication not of your up and down, but the indication of the concept of that which reaches towards the source of love and light. Thus, all light, all prana is upward spiraling, but its direction, as you understand this term, is unregimented and not useful for work. The questioner says, could I assume then that from all points in space, light radiates in our illusion outward in a 360-degree solid angle, and this scooped shape with the pyramid then creates the coherence to the radiation as a focusing mechanism? Is this correct? I am Ra. Precisely correct. Back to you, Marcus. I see you have a diagram up. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Got that right. I'm ready over here. I'm ready. So we're going to take a dive into the anatomy of the prana. The prana and how the prana functions in this human vehicle of ours on this planet Gaia that we are traveling through. So time travelers, get your helmets on, get your glasses on as well. Buckle up as we dive in to the prana of the human being. So as we see here in this diagram is showing a beautiful demonstration of a fully colored image and demonstration of what it looks like to have all 7 chakras, and not just all 7 chakras, but the motion of the current of our vital life force energy, also known as prana or kundalini, and the way it flows and functions up from our base, the root chakra. So I want to share this with you guys. As you can see, over on the left side, could be your right side, you can see there's a sideways image of our human being when it comes to the body. And what it's showing in this sideways image is the flow and current of how the chakra system flows up from our base all the way through our crown. And this is just a side angle view of it. So as you guys can also see here, you can see that there's kind of like 2 triangles or kind of cone shapes or funnels that are also going front and to the back when it comes to the side view. And what that is showing how the light, or the dimensions of light, and the way that they rotate through the movement of the energy centers, which are also known as wheels of light, it creates these vortexes or spirals of different octaves, of different colors and different rays of divine dimensional light. So this is why each chakra is connected to different colors of the light spectrum. These rotating energy centers or wheels are the gateway or the portal to access the divine rays and the different traits and qualities that those divine rays bring into our physicality and human dimension. So as you guys can see at the side image, you can see that the energy flows back and then forward, back and forward, back and forward in a weaving way through each of the 7 chakras until it reaches all the way at the crown, then dispels out of the crown and goes to each side with its masculine and feminine, and then it continues to rotate and create your toroidal field that rotates through you and around you. And that's also your electromagnetic field, your Merkaba, your light body vehicle. So then you look over in the middle here, it's showing a front view image of your chakras, and you can see both the masculine and the feminine. And it says here, the left and the right, also known as the Ida and the Pingala as well. And I'll actually scroll down just a little bit here and read to you guys what the Ida and the Pingala is. This is ancient Sanskrit. So this is Tibetan from India when it comes to the knowledge that we are reading upon here. And this is really like the originality of chakras and what we most commonly know in this modern time. So prana, energy, enters the body in 2 streams like a battery, with a positive pole, masculine, and a minus pole, feminine. Prana circulates through the body in a system of nadis. Your nadis are also meridians, are also known as energy centers. The nadis and chakras are located in the etheric body, the blueprint for the physical body. The etheric body is also known as the light body, the energy body, the metaphysical body, psychic body, or also in Buddhist terms, the rainbow body. So this is where your chakras reside, in your energy centers. So the nadis and chakras are located in the etheric body, which is the blueprint for the physical body. Prana spirals, as you remember in the context of Ra. Prana spirals through the chakras, connecting heaven and earth energies. So with that being said, if you look here up at this image, you can see it shows how the earth energy, or our physical vital energy, travels upwards from the earth, and then it enters in through our root chakra, and then that's where our earth physical human energy begins, is through our groundedness and clear connection to the earth grid. And what I mean by that is energetically, metaphysically, being connected to the earth grid. And then through that, it then starts to ground and anchor your root chakra to the planetary grid. And why would this be important? Well, if you're living a human life, that means you're a earth planetary form, or you're in a planetary body of earth. And if you're going to be living a human life, then you may likely want to potentially be present with your body, be in, the the alchemist ability of being the master of your own mind, body, spirit complex, if you wish to. But, that root chakra is going to be your foundation to even having any self-mastery of your human being whatsoever, because it's your stability, foundation, connection to the abundance of earth, and your ability to even feel stable and have a steady, patient, peaceful, and really integrity-filled human experience. So then from there, the sacral, which is the next chakra up, that is where you start to begin to feel emotions. This is where you're able to start sensing with your human senses the energies of this earth world. And through that is also how you develop relationship. And this is relationship in its most organic fashion, as in a relationship with something outside of your being. So this is any relationship. It begins at your sacral energy. And then it's also your intimacy, your sexuality, or your passion energy, creative energy. And then it cultivates there. And then it makes its way up to the solar plexus, the next one. And if you guys look, you can see how the prana splits into both ways. And then they start to weave with each other at each chakra. And then basically the chakras rotate in their natural direction. And then that rotation naturally helps that prana weave upwards through your chakra system until enlightenment at the crown chakra. So the sacral, next up from that, is the yellow solar plexus. This is where you start to build a identification, a human character, a sense of relation to the world, and your ability to take action and be able to give and receive in this world. So this is where you start to use your willpower, your confidence. This is actually where you start to develop your ego. And when I say ego, it's basically just your human character. It's your sense of identification. Because as much as we don't want to have an identity, there is some type of sliver of human attached identity that we have in order to even be a human being and exist. So it's really, what are you programming your ego to be? Is your ego being filled with negative energies, or is your ego being filled with divine, positive, and healthy energies? And that's up to you, because it's your own free will, what you do with your ego. So then it rises up to the heart, and that's where you feel connected to all beings that are on the earth. And not just feel connected to all beings of the earth, but spiritually, you can feel the connection beyond the physical to the heart chakra. And then up from there, that's where you are able to start voicing, expressing, communicating a healthy truth, a compassionate, empowered, and passionate creative expression, whether it's through creation, communication, teaching, listening. And then up from there, you go into your psychic sense. This is where you start to tap into the fourth dimension of yourself, and that is your third eye. And that's where you tap into your intuition, psychic abilities. This is where you also perceive, and you're able to do mental travel through different time space. And then at the crown is your cap, basically, of your human being. And this is where it begins to capture the heavenly, divine light into your human being. So the root chakra is where you capture and start to draw in and take in the energies of earth, your physicality. The crown is where you connect and expand with the divine consciousness of the higher dimensional planes. Then your heart chakra is the center, the balance point of your higher emotions and lower emotions. And that center is also the bridge of your heaven on earth, as you are the vehicle as a human being of heaven on earth and earth to heaven. So just remember that, beautiful star seeds and wonderful souls that are sharing this space. Right now in this moment, this vehicle you have, even if you may not have seen it as this or have been taught it until now, this vehicle that you're in this moment, listening to this podcast, being present, is allowing you to get the signal and a reminder right now that you are a vehicle, or you're using this human vehicle as a bridge of heaven to earth and earth to heaven. You are allowing the dead to come to life, and you're also allowing life to go into death. You are a beautiful, beautiful being, a transformation, and an alchemist, not just for your own individual self, but for all of this universe and all that you're doing in the collective of this planetary Earth. So thank you. And I just want to pass it back to Sandee, as I don't know where that beautiful presentation came from, but I'm very grateful for that.
I'm very grateful for that too, as well. It doesn't matter where it came from. It was divinely channeled, and we answered the channel. We answered the call. So on my Soul Awakening Instagram, there was a gentleman that said, and I welcome everything. It says, "Sire is the title given to those who reside in the crown chakra. Desire is the force that keeps us in our lower chakras." And I want to share with you something, because this is one of the first things that, as my energy started opening up to me, that I went into meditation about that word desire, because I grew up with the in church, a Baptist church, that desire was evil. But there are books that I have read that have been shared with me through the divine that said, I desire to seek myself in form, that it was my desire. And therefore I had the desire and threw out into the universe the energy of knowing myself, and I became myself through expression. And it blew me away, because that was not really what I thought I was going to hear about desire, that the divine gave me through me, not through you. You take what resonates with you. If what this gentleman just said resonates with you, then it's for you, because that's where you're coming from to grow into something else. But it gave me, because we can have so many different words about what we want. We can say the word we want, and then somebody says, but if you say want, then that's telling the universe that you don't have it already, that you don't believe that you have it already, and it's giving the universe the vibration of lack mentality for you. But each word means something different to us. That's what I'm finding out now. I can say, I want, I want abundance in currency. And currency to me comes in all forms. I might not say it the next time, because I've already acknowledged that that's what I want. I get to go, now that I've put that out, now that I've petitioned that, now that I've petitioned my desire. And yes, it's going to be from the root, because the root is saying I am taken care of in everything that I am and that I am not. Then it started to make sense to me. For me. But I love that he made this statement. That's a statement for him. He also said anything that has the letters D in front of is a lesser form of the word. Degenerate, decrease, decease, decompose. And he's absolutely right. If that's the energy that we're going to put in these words, these are our words. We came into this human duality, and these became our words, and the divine said, okay, these are your words, and we have the definitions for them. Make them your definitions. They are great. Decease, decease, decompose, right? D in Spanish means of. In other words, it means something else. I love this. The one true creator is all. It's not just one thing. So for me, what works is that I do have this desire. And my desire is going to go from my root, and it's going to spiral and connect through everything until I get to my crown. And then I get to create with my desire. What do I want? What do I desire? It doesn't only have to be a lower energy. My desire can move into positive energy. For me, that's what I learned for me. I learned that energy is seeking for us to create it. What do we want to create it with? How do we want to create it? Like for William, I love this. He's saying these are the words, and these are lower energies. These are part of lower polarity. But you get to create from lower polarity because you get to say, what next? How do I move through this? How do I move this through my chakras? How do I move this through the polarity to get a positive energy connection? We are human. I always say, we are spiritual. We are a spiritual form in a human form with a conscious form mind having an experience. We've got to experience it all. There's nothing wrong with experiencing the human part of you. There's nothing wrong with being in your root. Just because you're in your root doesn't mean it's broken. It could be circulating and spiraling in the focus that it needs to spiral in, but you're there. You get to go, oh, I'm being taken care of again. You're moving back and forth through those chakras. It's not just to get to your crown chakra and stay there. It's to be part of everything that's spiraling in, through, and as you. Because you're quantum energy in a bodysuit. Right? And all the words that we humans ever created, and all the definitions by whatever dictionaries we have, they're going to change. Because you're going to sit at the seat of your soul, and you're going to ask your higher being, what do you want me to learn from this? I learned this word as. What do I need to know more? I love this. Aspire directs one's hopes and ambitions towards achieving something. We never thought that we might aspire to those heights. Yum. Aspire to your now moments. right? We're here talking about ascending beyond limitations. And we come up with some words. What works for one person may not work for the other. But if you don't know if it's going to work for you until somebody brings it up and says, well, this word means this for me. And you get to say, well, oh, I never thought of it that way. Right? So desire for me is I desire to have more abundance of peace. That's my desire. Somebody might say it a different way. My hopes is that I have more abundant peace. Right? We are all expressions of the divine, but we're individual. We're authentic, unique beings. Right? So let's keep going. We got one more question. Right? Let's see, where was I? Okay, so the questioner then says, then is the coherence and organization multiplied once more at the start of the second spiral? Is there just a doubling effect or an increase effect? I am raw. This is difficult to discuss in your language. And we were just talking about language. This is difficult to discuss in your language. There is no doubling effect, but a transformation across boundaries of dimensions so that the light which was working for those using it in space-time and time-space configuration become light working in what you might consider an interdimensional time-space/space-time configuration. This causes an apparent diffusion and weakness of the spiraling energy. However, in position 2, as you have called it, much work may be done interdimensionally. Do we have time for one more, Marcus?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Here we go. The questioner then says, in Giza pyramid, there was no chamber at position 2. Do you, however, make use of position 2 by putting a chamber in that position on other planets or in other pyramids? I am raw. This position is useful only to those whose abilities are such that they are capable of serving as conductors of this type of focused spiral. One would not wish to attempt to train third density entities in such disciplines. Wow. Shall I keep going? You wonder why they say that we shouldn't in third density not be taught to utilize this? The questioner says, then the third spiral radiating from the top of the pyramid you call is used to energizing or used for energizing. Can you tell me what you mean by energizing? I am raw. The third spiral is extremely full of the positive effect of directed prana, directed life. That's what the word prana means. And that which is placed over such a shape will receive shocks, energizing the electromagnetic field. This can be the most stimulating third density application of mental and body configuration. However, if allowed to be in place over long, such shocked, traumatized entities. Wow. Wow. Are you ready to close with this, Marcus?
Yes, I am. That was just a phenomenal episode at 144. Beautiful number to realize this reflection. And wow, I just want to give gratitude for this amazing sacred space today. And I want to give gratitude to all the people that have tapped in, everybody that commented and participated. Thank you for expressing and sharing. And feel free to remember to like, share, subscribe to our channels. Help that algorithm get a boost. Give us some support if you wish. Greatly appreciate that. And I also want to kind of announce something to everybody. And that announcement is starting next week on Monday. I am going to be expanding. And when I say I'm expanding, I'm going to be expanding my Sacred Light Productions. And I'm going to be expanding it into a community worldwide broadcasting network. So Sacred Light Productions is going to be expanding, and we are now going to be having the Sacred Light Broadcasting Network beginning Monday next week. Every day of the week, every week, you guys will have at least one space of content during that day to start out every day of the week. And that will be either a podcast, a show, helpful holistic videos, demonstrations, and so much more when it comes to holistic, conscious living for all of our families and communities, all ages and walks. And I myself will have my podcasts and shows in rotation. Sandee over here will also be featured in rotation on this network as well. And then we have others like Heather Thomas in Sacred Kingdom, who is a shamanic and sound healing practitioner, and many other wonderful, wonderful beings that you guys will get used to and build connection with. So I just wanted to share that starting Monday, we're going to be doing every day, every week, there will be at least one thing of content that you guys will be able to watch streaming through the Sacred Light Broadcast Network. And that'll be through the YouTube channel, Sacred Light Healing and Wellness, the Sacred Kingdom YouTube channel, the Instagrams like usual, my Facebook page as well, and then any other community members that link in their platforms as well. So this can be free, 0 fees, basically like a mix between a cable network channel mixed in with a Gaia TV. And this will be brought to you guys, like I said, for free, 0 fees. You guys can tune in anytime, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Man.
More places for us to learn and grow and expand and be the unique, authentic, individual expression of the divine. There is no one way to learn what we need to know for our physical and our spiritual and our mental triune being. What we're being right now in this third density. How we're growing and shifting mind conscious. When somebody says, I think I just shifted into fourth density consciousness, you did. If you feel like you did and you're seeing what your ego is bringing into you from the outside world, you're seeing that, but you're seeing it through a different level of consciousness. It's okay. We're here to grow and expand. To grow and expand in our evolution. We came here, that's what we came here to play at. We came here to be different. We came here to learn, just as we learned from Starlight and we learned from William There's infinite ways to see our growth and our expansion. There's infinite ways to use our human words to expand and grow. No one thing is the sure thing. It's how you grow and how you expand it, how you increase with it. You were given, when you came into this existence, you came in with a backpack full of everything you needed to recall who you were from the realm of absolute. Some people call that heaven. Some people call that the matrix or illusion. You were given everything you needed to be the transformer and the alchemist in this third density to grow and expand. There's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. There's no perfection. We didn't come here. We came here as an absolute being from the realm of absolute with the energy of creation within us, but there's no right or wrong or perfect to it. It just capital S, no, capital I, capital S. It just is. That's who we are. That's who we were meant to recall. Whether we believe God to be mind or spiritual or religious or any of that, we were just meant to seek it, seek ourselves. God is seeking through us, giving us the free will to make a choice, and said, I'm not going to make it right or wrong what choice you are, or using or being or becoming. I'm just going to say, I see myself as you. And then if you don't like how it feels in that choice that you made, then you get to make another choice. No right or wrong as far as God. God cannot be right or wrong. It just is. And you get to make the choice of what you get to show the divine, God, Almighty, illusion, matrix, creator, the one true creator, whatever your terminology is, you get to show the divine what you see yourself as, how you feel yourself being, and what your emotion is about how you feel and see. That's diving into the unknown. That's the scariest shit you can ever dive into, is yourself. But know that the divine, the one true creator, is there to catch you. So deep dive today. Just have that one moment. Even if it's just a microsecond, a microcosm of the quantum field that you are. Dive. Thank you for joining us. Like I like to say, we'll be back, same raw channel, same raw time, next week on Wednesday. See you there.
What a way to open and what a way to close. Wow. Thank you so much. And for everybody out there, you have a blessed and beautiful rest of your day, wherever you are in this moment, tapped in and tuned in. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Wholeness and balanced love.
Wholeness and balanced love.
Come take a journey. April 5th and 6th for a holistic, nature-based 2-day retreat event taking place in Hocking Hills, Ohio. This beautiful 2-day event, hosted by myself, Marcus Christolight of Sacred Light, along with fellow Sacred Kingdom community members, we will be offering and delivering to you sacred and holistic space where we will be diving into holistic sound healing and shadow work flow shops. Along with that, we will also be doing beautiful traditional cacao ceremonies and also exploring and hiking Hocking Hills. And to complement all these beautiful activities, we will be able to snack on delicious foods. And you guys will also be having your breakfast, lunch, and dinner provided for. Vegetarian and vegan options. And along with this, we'll be doing overnight camping, and there will be hooping flow shops, as well as other interactions with the elements in nature. This is a wonderful space for you to be able to holistically heal, become empowered with education, and take tools into your everyday life for conscious empowerment. Reach out, ask questions if you have any. I'd love to see you there. Begin your process by scanning the QR code and to register. Wholeness and balanced love.